Hello and welcome to yet another edition of a Google Hangout with Channels Beam. I am Mayowa Ogundele, and today on the Hangout we're going to be discussing 2015 elections, which is right around the corner, as well as the just concluded party primaries. Most of the parties have already concluded their primaries and put forward their candidates for elections to submitted to INEC already. And so I guess that kicks off the 2015 election proper. On the Hangout, I have a couple of people who are going to discuss some of the issues that have come up during the primaries of the different parties. And we're also going to be looking at all that in light of the 2015 elections. So I'm going to kick off with Bamishaye Victor. Victor, you're calling from where again?
From Lviv, Ukraine.
Okay, great. Thank you for joining the Hangout. Now, I want to get your a view of all the primaries. This is just primary season just concluded, and I want to get your opinion about all the primaries of different parties, how they concluded, and of course, if you have been following the primaries, you know that a couple of issues have been raised in so many states. Candidates have been rejected. So many other states, you hear things about imposition, senatorial candidate imposition, all sorts of things. So generally, I want you to give me a view of the primaries you followed up and what you thought of them.
Uh, Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I think generally the political sphere in Nigeria is getting better by the day. It's getting better. Even the impositors are starting to get even more democratic, you know. So yes, there are still things to work on. We need to get more democratic, but I think generally the primaries are they are we are getting more democratic. Let me say by the day. So for the presidential primaries, I think only one major party had the primary, so to say, and that was the All Progressive Congress. The PDP had the coronation. So as to that, I will talk of one primary which was well organized, and kudos to the Kayode Fayemi-led primary committee. Yeah, but for the state levels, I think more work still needs to be done. And two, it's discrepancies are bound to happen. Like there's a probability for those, but that is why we should have a strong judiciary where aggrieved candidates can seek redress in the court of law. So if our judiciary is well, I mean, is well equipped, and we have well learned judges, I think aggrieved candidates, in case of maybe even imposition or let's say rigging or anything, can seek redress in the court of law. So I think generally Nigeria is starting to get more democratic. Thank you.
Okay, now you raised the issue of what you call a coronation of the PDP, that it didn't have a primaries and was what did you
I,
think about that? A lot
I,
of people,
I didn't mention. I said, okay. What did I think? What do I think about
well, I
the?
mean, I want a lot of people discuss that how would you have such thing happening? People were expecting some form of competition, and then PDP says, this is fine by us. We feel it deserves a second term, and let's just give him the ticket. So, do you see any issues there at all?
I don't think that's a problem. If they are all decided, if everybody agrees to that, why not? They belong to that party. They make their decisions. But it's not left to Nigerians to decide to agree with them or not. If Nigerians agree with them, then we vote the gentleman into power. And if Nigerians think it's they are wrong, then we vote him out. So I think as a caucus, as a party, they reserve the right to their decision. Generally, everywhere in the world, most often we find incumbents being favored. So I don't see a problem with that. So, but if Nigerians think the person of this man is not who can continue as our leader, a view of which I will not want to give mine, I think then they can decide at the polling day. Now we need to beg INEC to give us a credible election. That's all we can ask for now. So can INEC give us a credible election so that the voters can decide if PDP was right in retaining the man or not?
All right. So very quickly, one would notice that the prominent primaries, especially presidential primaries, which are held, were by the APC and the PDP. No, no, there's no arguing that those are the two biggest parties or two of the biggest parties in Nigeria. And so I just wanted to ask, why don't we see other parties, you know, coming up? Because we have more than two national parties. But why is it that other parties seem silent? Is it that they're not probably giving prominence in the media, or is it that they're actually not doing, their part?
That is to me?
Yes.
Oh, I think a lot of factors could have contributed to that, both intrinsic and extrinsic. I think on their part, they are not doing so well, and you can only get what you ask for. So if they are doing their best in terms of PR, I mean publicity, the media will take it up. So it's just whatever you blow into the whistle gives out. So I think the media will bring out, for example, today I read of UPN on Naira Land. It said UPN selects a woman as presidential candidate. As much as I wasn't really interested and I didn't go into details to know who, but at least that was on media. So I think if the parties themselves if they've done well enough to publicize themselves, then we'll hear of that. And two, I think in modern democracy, it's usually modern democracy and the sociology of this era where I think it favors a two-party system. Let me say, so that when this party, I mean, I'm talking of a fully democratic scenario, a fully democratic scene, where if this party is really not serving the needs of the people, we know we have a strong alternative. So I think that's also what is playing out and evolving in our politics in Nigeria.
Okay, thank you. Let me quickly head over to Mr. Masamba, who earlier on dropped out of the call but has now joined us again. Mr. Masamba, are you there?
Yes, my sister, I'm here.
Okay, great. Your audio seems to be low. Can you please speak louder? Hello. Okay, I think we just lost Mr. Masamba. I'm not sure what is going on with his internet. Okay, I see that he's back.
Can you hear me? Is this any
Yes, I can hear you. So are you good to go, sir? Hello. Okay, Victor, we'll just continue until Mr. Masamba fixes his internet. I'm not sure what is going on there. So,
Okay.
ABGA recently adopted President Goodluck Jonathan as their presidential candidate. Any surprises there?
No, no, not at all. No surprise. The surprise would have been seeing Chief Peter Obi decamping to the PDP himself. So no surprises there. Who do we have in Abga? Bianca Ojukwu, and who else? And there's no surprise there at all. I think I even am of the opinion that Abga is an annex of the PDP. You see, so I think there are no surprises there at all.
Okay, moving very quickly, let's head over to Lagos where a lot happened. APC, PDP. I want us to start with the APC. What you thought of their governorship primaries, some of the issues that you noticed. I would like you to play those up so that we move on from there.
Yeah, I think the only problem with APC governorship primaries in Lagos was that and there were complaints that the delegate list was not released until that morning. So I don't know if in any way it was doctored, I don't know. But if it was not, then the man totally deserved his victory. And I think it also could be politics blown out of proportion. The fact that Tinubu favors a candidate and Fashola favors a candidate, these are individual people. Then let's give them a platform. Let's let them test their popularity and what work they've done so far. For someone like Ambode, is at least I've known him on the media for quite a while, and his resume is interesting. You see, so he definitely deserved the victory as a man. So, but the question is the process that led to that, was it clean? Was it clear? If it was, then great. The only problem, like I said, the complaint was that of the delegate list that was not released until the morning. So,
There were also talks about Ambode being already anointed even before the D-Day. Did you subscribe to any of those talks?
anointed by who?
Rumor had it that Bola Tinubu allegedly anointed Ambode, and so a lot of people said, "Oh, it wasn't any surprise that
Now
he."
the question will be: does Tinubu has the right to choice? Now we are bringing two things that should be parallel into one individual. Yes, he's the national leader of the APC, but he also has a choice to say, "Oh, I will prefer this person," and that does not mean that he's imposing that person. So it appears this way that if I take you to dinner, I mean like group of friends, and everybody there knows I love to eat fried rice. Okay, that's my preferred menu, and we just got there and we all asked for different food. You ask for jollof, someone else asked for white rice, and it happens that the only food they have there is fried rice. Then people will say, "Oh, I was the one who asked the eatery, to prepare fried rice." So these are parallels of his own choice and imposition. The fact that he preferred somebody does not mean he imposed him. As a matter of fact, I am well aware that the incumbent had his own preferred candidate. So why could he not impose? So I think, left to me, I'll say that if they had a plain platform to contest and the primary was keenly contested, then the man fully deserves his victory, irrespective of who preferred him or not.
Okay, thank you. So let's quickly move over to the PDP side. But before then, Mr. Olu Jacob says in the chat box, we have all seen the primaries of the political parties. It will be recalled that APC proved themselves right. I'm not so sure what exactly he's trying to say there. Perhaps predictions that APC was going to break up not too long after the parties merged together. Maybe that's what he's saying. I'm not so sure. But moving over to PDP, Lagos, there's still a lot of drama ensuing from the primaries as Obanikoro has taken the Lagos chapter of the party to court over discrepancies and irregularities which occurred at their primaries. Do you think that this may cause problems for the candidate Jimmy Agbaje?
Yeah, I think so. Because when you look at, I think Celestine Omeya, if I'm right, of River State, and the incumbent governor, that's Rotimi Amechi, you notice that he won the primaries and his name was substituted. But he sought redress in the court of law and he was declared winner eventually. So when you have a case of a primary election where the total return votes was more than the number of total accredited voters, that speaks hugely of the gross misconduct and gross rigging in that election. So I think the court of law that he has gone to is the best, aftermath or is the best decision he could have made because this is a party that has machinery that has favored a candidate, So, and if it was flawed, if it was rigged, if it was, if things did not go right, he should go to court like he has done.
But then it shows that perhaps the party is not united, because if the Lagos party chapter of the party has promised President Jonathan that they would deliver Lagos to him come 2015, and now you have candidates going to court and trying to seek redress, all of these things. You think, it's going to in any way hinder them from fulfilling their promise?
Yeah, I think so too. I think so because there's no how they will be united, trying to cheat out a candidate who is strong enough and who has, let's look at the pedigree of this man. He has once been their flag bearer, standard flag bearer. So when you look at the history he has with the party, he's somebody to reckon with. So someone like Obanekoro is not somebody you can just dismiss with the wave of a finger, So I think all of this will lead to them not being able to deliver Lagos as a state to the People's Democratic Party.
All right, so now I want us to look at it generally, APC, PDP. So far, I don't want to say so good, but on the APC side of it, you haven't really heard as much trouble as you've heard on the PDP side. Now, we had, like Channels TV covered most of the primaries in different states across the country, and in follow-up reports, you find out that a lot of PDP chapters are falling apart. You have angry youth storming River State. You have angry youth storming Port Harcourt. Saying all sorts about candidates in position. And here you see more. We have more reports concerning the PDP. What do you think this means? And then you also have little reports here and there of people already defecting and all of that.
You see, the book I love to read most says it says in a particular part of it that time and chance happens to them all. Time and chance. So the problem here is that chances have happened, but the timing is what matters. You see, APC had their own stormy season, but the timing was before the election. So they were able to put their house in order before the primaries. So now that the PDP who thinks or who thought that they had their house in order, there are chances happening now. So and it's let me say it's it's so bad for them that it's happening right now. That's happening right now. So and two, APC seems to be establishing themselves in democratic principles and ideals, which seems to be what this nation need as of this time I speak. So let me say, with what I've seen so far, I have more faith in a government led by the All Progressive Congress than that of the People's Democratic Party. Why will I say that? I will say that because People's Democratic Party have had at least 16 years or at least 15 of governing this country. And if this all they've been able to provide so far. So why not let's seek an alternative and see if we get something better. We cannot keep hanging in the same, with the same set of people and expecting a different result. So with what I've seen so far, I think I'll pitch my tent. I mean, if I had the possibility of casting my vote right now, I'll cast it for the All Progressive Congress. They establishing themselves in the ideal principles of democracy.
All right, so we're not here to campaign, but I think I get your point about commending APC's conduct of their primaries. Well, that is your opinion. Let's head over to Mr. Masamba. I hope you can speak with us now.
Yes, yes, my sister. Can you hear
Great,
me?
thank you so much. So very quickly, I've discussed a lot with Victor, and I want to get your opinion on most of these issues. The party primaries. I want to first find out if you followed any of them, if you kept abreast of the events.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so what is your general overview? of the primaries across board?
You want my honest opinion? Presumably, yes? You want my honest opinion?
Yes.
There's a saying where, here in the West, where they say that when they see, in a situation where you see someone doing something that is entirely, completely pointless, they say that that person is rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. Now, the Titanic, as you know, was this great big ship that sank uh, at the beginning of the last century. The point I'm trying to make is primaries, elections, none of that will address the fundamental problems of facing Nigeria and Nigerians. These are just distractions that our people, these are just distractions that are being used to deceive our people, to get us to place our faith in the legitimacy of these elections, these so-called elections.
Okay, Mr. Masamba, are you saying that
My understanding is these elections are designed.
you do not believe in the primaries that have been conducted? You do not believe that they were democratic or that they were free and fair, or that you do not believe that it is the right process to achieving what we want to achieve as a nation?
Precisely, that's my point. My point is, as long as Nigeria is in the condition that it is in today, as long as the common man in Nigeria abdicates responsibility for the political governance and direction of Nigeria to a corrupt elite, that nothing will change. Nothing at all will change.
Okay,
As
Mr.
I
Masaba,
say,
I understand your point, but you must agree that if we are trying to be a fully developed democratic country, then we have to start somewhere. We have to take the baby steps and then walk smartly and then run and then start flying and soaring and all of that. So let's look at these primaries that have been held. And I think that the best way we can actually make progress is if we put things in context and if we analyze each step we take. So, do like a post-mortem, and we do that and do that over time, because you must agree that Nigeria is not where it used to be, although it may not be where we want it to be. So I want your
as
cooperation in this. I really want us to look at these primaries,
yes, my sister,
see
my
what
sister,
people did
my sister,
well and didn't do well.
my sister, my dear sister, please believe me that I am trying my hardest, my very best to communicate something to you. And what I'm trying to communicate to you, what I'm trying to understand very clearly is that elections will not, I repeat, will not address any of our problems. We've had elections for God knows how many years. We've had the so-called democratic system since 1999. Has the condition of the average Nigerian improved one iota since that time? We had elections during the Second Republic, the Shagari Awolowo time. Did the condition of the Nigerian improve at that time? Or was Fela not singing and complaining about the deterioration of living conditions in Nigeria? And here we are, 30, 40 years later, we're still talking about the same thing, elections. So what I'm saying is, if people choose to mislead themselves or allow themselves to be misled, to be brainwashed into thinking that democracy or elections are some kind of panacea that will solve all our problems, then they will always end up in the ditch that we're in today. That's my point. So what I'm saying is we need to understand what these elections represent. That's my point. If we keep going, where Nigeria is like a madman, in my view, like a crazy person who is doing the same thing over and over again and expects to get a different result. How long have we been doing these elections? Shouldn't that tell our people something? This is common sense. A child of 5 will understand this. But 170 million adult Nigerians don't get it. And that's why we're still in the same condition.
Mr. Masamba, let me quickly head
Just
over
to,
back to Victor to get his take on what you're talking about. Victor, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I clearly understand what Mr. Masaba is talking about. He's talking about the sociology of the people, their ideals for themselves. I mean, of that common man. What does he think? He's trying to communicate that the problem of Nigeria is not that of the aristocratic class, but that of the common man who has refused to take power to himself. So, but what I would love to ask Mr. Masaba is, what does it suggest?
All right, so Mr. Masama, that's for you. What would you say is the way forward?
The way forward. I love you, my sister, and I thank you very much for that question. The number one condition that we need for our for progress in Nigeria is awareness, education. Every single Nigerian, the condition of Nigeria today, while we're in that condition, and what we need to do to get out of that condition. And my point on, I didn't say this the first time, but I'll say it now. We talk about democracy in Nigeria. What do Nigerians understand about democracy? What do you understand about the people that you, what do you know about the people that you elect into office? What knowledge do Nigerians have about these people that they go to the polls to elect? So you will find, if you investigate to the people who are selected to contest for electoral positions in Nigeria are usually selected by the political parties. Now, the political parties, as you and I know, are corrupt to the core. Every single Nigerian, well, in my view, I don't know about any other person, but in my view, every single Nigerian is corrupt to the core. Now, if you have a situation where you're dealing with political prostitutes and mercenaries, how in the hell do you expect to find progress or make progress in that type of situation where every one of your leaders is corrupt and betraying you, the Nigerian, to foreign powers?
Mr. Masamba, a very quick question.
Yes.
Would you agree that electing the right leaders, the right thinking people into offices to lead the people will be a step in the right direction? Would you agree that the right people in the right positions is a step forward?
But my sister, that is precisely my point. There is no country in the world where you can point to the right people who are leading the country in the right direction. No capitalist country. That's my point. That
Okay.
as long as politics, hang on, as long as politics is, for want of a better word, a business which is dominated by money and the influence of money, that you will always find corruption in politics and you'll always find corrupt politicians. Now, given the situation in Nigeria, where we have a bunch of uneducated, illiterate, so-called leaders, politicians, of course they're corrupt, and of course the country is in
Hello?
I have a question for Mr.
as long
Masaba, if
as
you can
certain
hear
level of
me.
Okay,
awareness,
okay.
certain degree of
Mr.
education.
Mr. Masamba, please hold on. Victor, hold on as well. We have new callers on the Hangout. I have Benga Olorun for me. Hi, Benga.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Benga, I can hear you.
Awesome.
Great. So, Benga, please correct me if I'm wrong. The pronunciation of your name, I want to get that correctly. Olorun
For me.
for me. Thank you. So we also have Akachuku. Thank you for joining the Hangout, Akachuku.
Thank you.
So because Benga joined before you did, I want to quickly head over to Benga to get his take on the party primaries. Now, Benga, I know that you were very much involved in the APC primaries, at least in Lagos State. I don't know if you were involved in other states. Now, this is APC's first major primaries held, presidential and even governorship. I want to get your thoughts on it. How did you guys perform?
Um, Thank you, Maiwa. Um, Given that this was our first try at it as a truly national party, I think we did excellently, if I do say so myself. And use the example of the state primaries. Now, what Nigerians need to understand is that the system we use in Nigeria dictates that for you to win an elective position, you must belong to a party, you must get involved, and you must reach out to the people. Um, the man who, for Lagos State, for instance, where uh, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode emerged as the gubernatorial candidate of the APC, it is clear to even his opponents that he won that race fair and square, in that there was no endorsement. I was on the grounds, the primaries grounds, and not, I spoke to more than 4 journalists, and all of them confessed to me, none of them saw a naira being shared. None of them saw people being coerced. None of them saw anybody being forced to vote for anybody. He emerged because he worked the hardest, um, reached out the farthest, and was accepted all round. Now, some people might say maybe he got ahead of the race because of some reason or another. Um, this man is started working for this to win these primaries over a year ago. Over a
Okay.
year ago. So
Okay. Wait, let me
let's
quickly
move.
take you off. I know you want
Can
to
I?
continue, but let me quickly take
Okay.
you off. There's a comment here in the box from Olu Jacob, who is also a part of this hangout, but
Okay.
for some reason cannot speak. He says Tinubu gave Lagosians unknown Fashola. We have all seen the result. Here comes another candidate, Ambode, said to be Tinubu boy too. Let me see how it will come to play. And also, you cannot ignore that there had been talks about some form of anointing by national leader Tinubu for Ambode, which so a lot of people weren't particularly surprised that he emerged the winner. Now you say that money wasn't shared, there was no form of coercion. How do you merge the two? Where did all this talk about anointing come out from?
Now you can't stop anybody from saying whatever they want to say, but there is no time. At no point did I see any report, or did anybody see any report where it was said, or where Ashwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu said, "This is my anointed. He must win this race." There was an open contest. 13 people went for the race and contested. He contested against um, three gentlemen who, amongst the three of them, share nothing less than 20 to 25 years experience in leading positions in Lagos State, and he beat them. Now, even if there was an anointment or an from any quarters, I am free to say whoever I want to support. As a free citizen of Nigeria, I can pick whoever I want to lead or as my candidate. Same thing for Ashwaju if that indeed happened. Now, I'm not saying it happened, and I'm not saying it didn't happen. But what I'm trying to say here is that even if anybody was anointed, I have just the same way I have the right to pick who I want as my position. Ashwaju himself, we have to remember that he remains a citizen of this nation and is free to endorse whoever he wants. So that argument holds no water for me.
Okay, so quickly, but I'll need you to be in a quiet place because I hear a lot of background noise from your end, Benga. So let me move over to Akachuku while you sort that out, and then I'll get back to
Okay.
you. All right, Akachuku. Uh, can you please let us know where you're calling from? I know that you're not in Abuja, Nigeria.
I'm calling from Brighton, United Kingdom.
Now you're looking like you're calling from Brighton. Anyway, so very quickly, I know that you've kept in touch, even though you've been away for some time now. I know that you're in touch and you're following issues and events in the country. The party primaries, a quick overview, generally speaking.
Thank you. Uh, it's interesting to see how things has been playing out in the country, especially with the primaries at the various levels, uh, at the state levels and at the national levels, and also for the elective positions that would be open for elections come February. That's the uh, legislative positions and the executive positions. It's interesting to note that some parts of the country have witnessed what will be described as a good one in terms of democratic and the electoral process when you talk about how it has taken place in the southwest, how it had played out in some parts of the north and south and also in the southeast. Then there are different scenarios or different outcomes that we see came out. We had something that looked like selective or imposition of candidates in some parts of the country, especially in the southeast, where I come from. You had it come out more of an elective process in the southwest. The same thing, the same scenario played out in the northeast and sorry, northwest rather, and in north central. On the governorship level, that's on the legislative levels. On the governorship, it played out quite well in other parts of the country, and then at the national, which is the presidential, it's interesting to see the candidates that have emerged from the two parties that we are looking forward to see how they perform at the polls.
So, Akachuko, I want to quickly get your thoughts about something. What is it? Is there any difference between a party leader, a prominent party leader of any party in this case, saying they like a particular person? Does that also amount to imposition?
Unfortunately, parties are led by certain individuals, or parties have certain individuals as their party leaders who other members of the party look up to in terms of leadership, in terms of vision, in terms of showing the way. Then it becomes interesting and good to know that such persons would usually have their opinions or usually have their views coming out strongly when issues are discussed. And more like it when these parties do sit down to make decisions, their opinions are usually respected by the rest of the leaders or the rest of those who are members of the party, and it will be easy for them to say or would uh, give preference to particular persons. And mind you, usually you have persons that usually will indicate interest in a particular leadership position through a particular party, and usually the leadership of those parties would uh, possibly have interest in some candidates in terms of how they think they would be able to put forward their party's interests, how best they fit within their party ideology and principles. And it will be quite difficult not to see that party tending to push forward those candidates they think are suitable to represent their party's interests.
Thank you very much, Benga. I also want you to quickly answer the same question. Benga, are you here?
I'm here.
Okay, great. So the same question: if a prominent party leader expresses his preference or makes known his preference, does that amount to imposition, or do people interpret that as imposition?
Um, we have to that question is a bit difficult to answer in that you have to even ask yourself, how did this leader emerge as a leader in the party? This leader uh, whose views is probably being seen as imposition or not. Sadly, our system gives power to who has the deepest pockets. Um, and it means that once you are in that system, um, as a leader or um, as the head, you continue to perpetuate yourself. Now, that is the system we have for now. And the system we have for now does not give room for independent candidacy, doesn't give room for um, people to play outside political lines to get political power. So, if a party leader who has invested, even if it's not his money, or who has invested his efforts into a process, strongly suggests that this is who he wants in certain positions, it becomes difficult for people to go against that. And in a sense, that is imposition. But at the same time, it doesn't stop anybody from going to the field, from participating. I know quite a number of um, uh, aspirants in different positions who were being pressured to step down who went to the field and won their tickets, and those decisions were respected, at least within my own party. So um, the process by which these leaders emerge is uh, is a bigger question to answer than uh, if impositions within parties happen. They do happen. They do. I'd be lying if I say things like this do not happen. But do you trust this leader enough to make the right decisions? That is the bigger question.
All right, thank you very much. Now, gentlemen, as we try to bring this conversation to a close, I'd like to find out what we think about the primaries and what we see concerning 2015. Now, Victor, you've been quiet for a little while, so I'm going to start with you. The primaries, I think you gave at least an average mark, if not a pass mark, concerning 2015. And I'd just like you to, let everyone know, especially for the people who have just joined the Hangout, what you see. Do you see like this is an improvement and, gives you hope for 2015, that 2015 will be a better process compared to the past?
I think three people decide 2015, to be sincere. That would be God. We have to put God as a factor, as the main factor to decide all things against that. The second would be the ruling party. Are they willing to allow a credible election? If they are, then the third will be INEC. How prepared is INEC as a body to give us a credible election? Permanent voters card. How prepared are they with that? It's even less than 2 months to election. People don't have permanent voters card. So I think at the end of the day, all said and done, primaries come and gone. You see, it's the ball is not left in my next court. Prove to us that they are a credible body. So, but fairly, I would say Nigeria is getting better and we are getting more democratic by the day. So, if INEC will do well, I see hope for 2015. But we must not also put to joke the threat posed by the All Progressive Congress that if this election is rigged this year, they will be forming an alternative government. So now the ball now is in INEC's court. But I will also stand by what Mr. Masaba said, that until the masses can decide, until power return to the masses, then it's not worth it at the end of the day. What do I mean? We should educate the masses to vote for the right people, and we should educate them about about the power of their right to vote. And recently, a court also, gave a judgment favoring inmates to vote, leading to an increase in the population of the voters we are going to have. So if the masses will decide, I want to speak on the average note of what I believe. I think the masses want change. So if they want change, then change, let it be. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Victor. Akachuku.
Would allow candidates to come together to debate on issues, on what they will do when they are voted into power. Unfortunately, that would not happen, especially for the presidential candidates. We saw this happen in 2011 when the current president didn't turn up at the debates. Would like to see this happen at the state levels, also on the legislative positions, so that Nigerians will actually know why they will have to vote Mr. A and not Mr. B, and why they need to put Party A or Party B in office. Unfortunately, that will not happen uh, in most of the areas where elections will be taking place. Then Nigerians will be left to only vote on on sentiments of who gave the highest number of bags of salt or rice. Unfortunately, after 6 months, when these elected officers are in office, would say they've not delivered on electoral promises, when we don't have anything to hold hands to that they said they would do. We are still trying to find our path on how we get to know that these are the right people to represent us at institutions of governance.
Now, a very quick question before I move on. Who would you say, whose responsibility is it to educate the people, especially the masses, on who to vote for and who not to vote for? Is it the responsibility of INEC? Is it a responsibility of independent people, regular Nigerians, or is it the responsibility of the parties? Who would you say is saddled with that responsibility?
It's not the responsibility of INEC. It's actually the responsibility of the Nigerian people, the civil society, especially in this process. That's the responsibility of media organizations like channels. I would want to see channels take up that particular task to demand that people that would be representing us come out to tell us what they will be doing, and not just rail out things that are written on scripts. They should come out to debate issues, heated arguments, from when we know how prepared they are.
All right, thank you very much. Benga, the floor is yours. I want to know what you think about the primaries and what you see concerning 2015.
I'd like to take us back a little bit.
Hang on a second, please. Okay, can you please take that again?
I'd like to take us back a little bit. Can you hear me? Hello?
Go ahead.
Good. Um, I don't think we appreciate exactly what the APC has achieved in a very short time. This is a party that came together and in a short time, and was the first party to do open registration. We used the existing polling units by the INEC to register our members en masse across the country. Now, what this means is that whoever wanted to join the APC, wanted to run for office, had the opportunity of joining the party with his or her supporters en masse. So, if you want a stake at the dinner table, you bring your audience, you bring your people to the table, and that process helped a lot of people who would never have emerged as candidates to emerge because they came in there prepared. Now, this sort of education, this sort of process only comes around once in a lifetime. But I think this process, and I mean, given how grand our presidential primaries turned out to be in
But
terms
you
of
know,
organization,
I mean, Benga, I understand your point, and of
yeah,
course, I know that your party members will probably appreciate the achievements of your party, despite all odds. But then again, you must realize that it is not just about one party; it's about all parties. It's about our processes, it's about our institutions, and it's about what we want to achieve as as a nation, irrespective of the means by which we want to achieve it. Hello, hello. Okay, so while we wait for Benga's internet to be back, let me quickly read what Mr. Olu Jacob says. It says
hel-
2015 election is going to produce better options for Nigerians if INEC organizes credible election this time around. Debate might not be the best to determine the best candidate. The incumbent has spent 5 years plus, and we've all seen what he is capable of doing. So that's another point of view, saying that a debate may not be the best um, the best option
if I
to know who. I mean, I'm just thank you for joining again, Big. I was just reading what Mr.
okay,
Jacob said in the chat box. So now we're back to you, and I was saying that in as much as your party members may appreciate your party's achievements, it's really about Nigerians and and the processes.
that
Our democracy.
yeah, that is why I hope that it's not only our party members that will appreciate what we did. I hope other parties have learned a little bit of how democracy should play out, a bit of how to organize these things. Because it's not about just participating to win. We are participating to change how things happen. I
So
mean, we organized the
what do
primaries
you
that was
see
unprecedented.
what do you see come 2015?
I see
Now I'm talking
an
about our
election
processes.
now in our processes. I see a more informed electorate. I'll take the example of the primaries in Lagos State PDP. Everybody now knows that that primaries has, in for lack of a better lingo, K-leg. And you know that moving forward, the PDP will never make such a mistake anymore. I see a process where the electorates are more informed. They know exactly, more people know how to vote, more people know where to get their PVCs, more people know what the issues are. I think one of the reasons the presidential candidate of the PDP, President Goodluck Jonathan, is staying away from debates is because he knows that a lot of things will come out of there that will probably not favor him, and it's because Nigerians are now listening. I see our process is getting better because people are now asking the right questions, and that's down to um, more inform. That's down to um, people actually now taking interest in who leads them and the quality of leadership that they get.
All right, thank you so much, everyone, for joining. That's as much as we can take on this edition of the Hangout. Of course, the conversation continues online. If anyone disagrees with anything, we can as well just take it online and discuss it via our social media handles. On Twitter, it's at Channels Beam. So, yeah, it'd be nice to actually continue this conversation on there. Thank you so much for joining again. It's been wonderful, everyone. Akachuku Benga, Victor, Mr. Olu Jacobs, whose audio isn't so good, and Mr. Masamba, who has unfortunately dropped out of the hangout. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Have a great day.
Pleasure.